Beetlejuice, which is following in the footsteps of a number of 25, 15, 30, 40, 50-year late sequels, especially sequels to comedies, that typically eat it, that are horrible. I'm thinking about Zoolander 2, which everyone forgets even happened, or Anchorman 2, which I think it still curried some generosity from critics and fans because it got in on the ground floor of that genre of comedy film, of the late sequel, right? That was maybe one of the first ones. Actually, Dumb and Dumber 2 might have been the actual first one.
I think it was, yeah. And that's one that is so conflicting to me because Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite all-time movies. It always has been. And Dumb and Dumber 2 is such a colossal disappointment for so many reasons I can't get into right now. But the funny thing is, I recently went back and within the last few days, I watched kind of a quick overview of the production and the behind the scenes. And there were like three, maybe four times that the movie got an actual belly laugh out of me. And I was like, the fact that it even did that with how much of a total misfire it was a miracle in itself. Maybe just because of the talent of Carrie and Daniels, but then, oh man, that maybe I'll have to, maybe that's one we revisit after Beetlejuice. I don't know.
Yeah, this could be its own series that it evolves into. I remember seeing that movie in the theater, matter of fact, and it was kind of the same situation as this Beetlejuice sequel, which is I grew up on it. I grew up on Jim Carrey movies. I grew up on Dumb and Dumber. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And when they made the film, which came out in what, like 2013 or 2014?
14, same year as
2014.
the AVGN movie.
Wow, what a year for comedy. So that was about what? That would have been 20 years since the original movie. 1994 was a
Hmm.
big year for Jim Carrey. He had The Mask, he had Dumb and Dumber, and he
And Ace
had Ace
Ventura,
Ventura. That's insane.
all number one hits.
Yeah. And nobody has ever done that before or since. Nobody's had three hit comedies in the same year. So it really defined his career. And when they released maybe you've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it, the DVD that is the director's cut, the R-rated version of Dumb and Dumber, that was my first time going back to it since I had it on videotape. And it was this situation where, kind of similar to when John Kricfalusi took Ren and Stimpy over to Spike TV, the jokes were a little too sexual, a little too dark. They did get some laughter out of me. I'll fully admit that. And even I mean, I think the theatrical cut of Dumb and Dumber is still very funny to this day. As far as comedies go, especially late 20th century comedies, that is top notch.
Unparalleled.
Yeah. And with this sequel, I went to go see it in the theater. And I remember leaving my girlfriend who lived with me at the time behind because I was like, she's not gonna get it. She's not gonna understand the reverence for this movie or this duo. And the trailers maybe don't look terrific. It looks like it could be corny. I don't know. And I wound up having a mostly good time with the movie. There was definitely a heavy amount of corniness to it that I did not like, but I think I came away from it generally more favorable than what I was anticipating. And so we got that movie, and then shortly thereafter, they do Anchorman 2, they do Zoolander 2, and I feel like there's one more that I'm missing here that got a late sequel.
Hmm.
Is there any off the top of your head that is coming to mind that would fit that category?
I don't know, but we do have Happy Gilmore 2 in production right now.
Lovely. That's right. How could I ever forget I just started watching Adam Sandler's Netflix special, by the way, and I've never seen a stand-up special that has been more clearly directed by the director, which is Josh Safdie. There's even the weird guy from Uncut Gems that comes in at the very beginning of it. So I'm enjoying it so far, but I haven't actually gotten to Sandler's comedy at all. Happy Gilmore too. They're filming that in Massachusetts right now, right? Or they did
Jersey,
in Jersey.
Jersey. That's what I heard. Beetlejuice was filmed in Massachusetts,
Hmm.
actually.
I did stick around for the end credits, and I saw "Thank you to the state of Massachusetts for letting us shoot there.
Beautiful Fall River.
Are you kidding me? I mean, honestly, it doesn't surprise me one bit. But Fall River, what a dump!
Yeah. Low taxes, man. The Portuguese people could use it there.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, Super Troopers 2, which was also shot. Maybe not in maybe it was Rhode Island, but that was another late sequel. I didn't mind Super Troopers 2. I didn't mind it one bit.
Our old buddy Kinson was background on that. I
Oh yes,
remember.
Kenson Theodore, friend of the show, Kenson Theodorus, who used to be part of our sketch comedy group for a short amount of time and acted in some of the early Headshot LLC sketches. But why don't we talk about what your history with Beetlejuice is? For me, I had been given back in the day, back in the early 90s, you would have three or four movies that were recorded onto a VHS tape and would either be something like your parents would do or maybe an uncle would give it to you. I had a grandfather who was kind of a step grandfather, really, who would make me VHS tapes with three or four movies on it. He would record them off of Blockbusters videos or HBO, and then I would get those. And Beetlejuice was on one of those. And then later on, I bought Beetlejuice from Blockbuster, and it was always a favorite of mine. It was always in the rotation on my VHS shelf. And I think I still got it over here to this day. So my introduction to Beetlejuice came when I was very young, probably when I was like 3 or 4 years old. When did you first watch Beetlejuice from Tim Burton?
Well, the first rendition I think that I got of Beetlejuice was the Saturday morning cartoon
Mm.
that was on in the 90s. That was the first way, and I loved that show as a kid. Loved it.
I just started tuning. They've been playing it for whatever reason on MeTV Animated, which is a network on the Philo app for anybody with the Amazon Fire Stick. And I went back and I just had it on as background noise after seeing Beetlejuice, because I've been on a little bit of a Beetlejuice high since watching it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's on Tubi right now too. Big on Tubi right now. But yeah, that was my introduction to the character, because usually that's what I was watching at the time. But the movie was always around for me, and I had always seen parts of it here and there, especially around Halloween, and just binging anything I could as a kid, but never got formally around to watching it until I got a little bit older, probably in my teenage years. That's when I really actually saw it all the way through for the first time. So I didn't have the same experience as a lot of people our age, like in our 30s, that grew up with this as this perennial childhood classic. I mean, the show, yes, I still remember it vividly. But the movie, I didn't get to see in full. It was just one of those ones that kind of passed me by because a lot of other ones at the time, like I remember seeing Pee-wee's Big Adventure, like Tim Burton's first
Mm.
movie as a young kid, and probably Edward Scissorhands and Batman for sure. But Beetlejuice was the one that somehow I missed until I was maybe about 13.
Would you be more interested in seeing a Beetlejuice, or another Tim Burton film, maybe a continuation of something older that he had done from the 90s or something brand new with some configuration of this older group that he had cut his teeth with in that period?
My knee-jerk reaction, because I've loved Beetlejuice so much, if you didn't latch onto that, is I would love to see another. If this is the level they can keep it at, and I do believe they have the team and the people to do it, and the moment is still right. If they wanted to do one last one, I'd be all for it. But they would need to do it within the next 2 to 3 years, because Michael Keaton will be 75, 76, and he's eventually going to run out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you don't want him to cross the Rubicon of being 80 and you do the last one. Um, so I would love to see another. Now, that being said, there is something to be said about this being a triumphant return. Why don't you leave it alone? You could stop right here and I'd be totally happy, because of how much I enjoyed this movie, and how I think it'll really hold up and stand the test of time next to the original. So, as much as I'd like to see another, it's got to happen in 2 to 3 years max, and it's got to feel right. So only if Tim Burton's feeling inspired to do it, and he kind of signaled that he's not really motivated to do another. So if there's a will, there's a way. I'd love to see just one last look into that world and hopefully have as much fun. Now, on the other hand, in terms of properties, if he went back kind of to the well and revisited some old territories, I'd be curious which way to go, really, because the first one that jumps out to me would be, well, again, an actor that, for one, is dead, but two, it would be really hard to get him to match that, would be if they did a return to Pee-wee.
That's what I was thinking too. If the opportunity to jump back into that, like 10 years, whenever they did the Netflix one, I think it would have been.
And that one was fine. I actually kind of like that one. I haven't watched it since it came out, but I did enjoy it, because I did think it kept the nature of the original mostly intact, but it was missing that Tim Burton flair from the original that allowed the first one to become a perennial classic. That's what I would have preferred, but good old Paul Rubens decided to kick the bucket, and well, he's paying for his collection of misdeeds right now, or alleged misdeeds.
Alleged misdeeds. So you can watch another episode of Movies. We detail
his art collection.
Yes, his art collection. Yeah. That's right.
So for me, yeah, I think that's the only other place I would really want to see Tim Burton retread, if not Beetlejuice. So the question to me is, I think another Beetlejuice is kind of the logical way for him to go. He's done everything else.
I want another Batman. I want a third Batman with Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Looking at it from a realistic point of view, I don't see any world that it can happen. Who knows? Maybe Beetlejuice's success primes the studio to say, yeah, Matt Reeves, you can keep your little thing over here. Fine. Take go to your little box over there and play in it. We're going to give Tim Burton one more run at this and see what we can create. If there is a world where that can happen, I'd be all for it. And if he made this kind of dark tale of, kind of like The Dark Knight Returns, like the series, the comic book series, or like of an aged Bruce Wayne kind of getting back into it for whatever reason, I'd be all in for seeing that world again. I just think there would have to be a lot of politics behind the scenes that go on for that to happen. Because everybody wants to make a freaking Batman movie. Like, Matt Reeves one was fine. I think
the further away we get from that, the more it shows itself to be a total fraud of a film. And they keep delaying this Matt Reeves Batman movie because I think they want to pull the plug on it. I think you're going to get the Colin Farrell Penguin show on HBO, and they're really trying their best to promote that. They're doing Alamo Drafthouse screenings, but I got to be real. I don't think it's going to get a season 2 no matter what. I think James Gunn setting up his universe and the lack of enthusiasm for that Superman movie that's coming out is going to wind up killing the Andy Muschietti Batman movie that they're planning for the same release period as the Batman Part 2. So I think it's all going to start to collapse, and there could be a window of opportunity for Tim Burton to get in there, and especially after the success of Beetlejuice, and people saying, The Flash is whatever it is, Michael Keaton's the best part. I think there's going to be a little momentum, a little bit of a push in that direction. Whether or not that works, it might not. The odds are against it, but I'm still going to keep my fingers crossed.